We are live on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. It's great to be with you. It's true. I hope you're having fun. Luigu and I are certainly where we are. Oh, I wanted to come live today to say that we're the ones we've been waiting for. It's true, we are. Indeed, the cat jumps up. Indy, come. There to say hello in that moment there. The Weegle is making crepes. I can't wait to eat. It's true. What do you want to say, if anything?
What's the topic on? What are we riffing on?
Well, we're talking about standing together as women.
Together. Ooh. I mean,
Standing together as women.
it's interesting. One of the biggest things about standing together as women is allowing one another to take space, which we were talking about yesterday.
We were.
And a part of that taking space is also acknowledging how much space we take up. And I know, Laura, you talk a lot about like space and will and how that's equivalent. How much space you take is the will you have as well. And that's sort of like in this very direct correlation, quantum correlation. I don't even know how you play.
Yeah.
At that end. And so, and then also women just vibing with other women, not being like, not reiterating the narrative that has been of women with women bullying other women, with from the place of like insecurity. So yeah, because it's all from a place of insecurity. What happened to your nose?
I had a runny nose. I started to flow in that moment.
Oh my God. I'm so glad that you literally flowed.
Yeah. So we're flowing, and that was brilliant. And yeah, will and space and bullying men and women.
Yeah.
We were having a conversation with your friend Trisha this morning, who's another amazing woman in the UK. And we were talking about
Can I do this here?
Yeah.
No, it's too far.
Well,
I do this here.
maybe I don't know what to do.
No, don't worry. Leave it there. Leave it there.
What to say? You got Indy there. Where is he? There he is. He blended in. He was right on the cusp. That was so funny. In the background there, you actually saw my manuscript that you will not see until I finally release it, because she reminded me that I gotta conserve the energy of that baby that I am bringing into a territory that may be hostile because they're new belief systems. BS, as I say. So, gotta keep that close to my heart until I'm ready to show it all and start an evolution, not a revolution. We cannot do the same thing we did before. It's true that we are the ones we've been waiting for. We've got to take a stand and be the woman or the man. Standing together, side to side, shoulder to shoulder. And Trisha, this morning we were talking about the fact that I can see you, you can see me, I cannot see you, but we can see each other. I see your eye. I can look you in the eye if I can see you, and then when I feel that I've been trespassed, it's 'cause I saw you. Which is why on the page I will sign an I, and I'll make it capitalized, because we have been capitalized and forgot and thought we needed to be less than we are truly. Oh, it's like a honeycomb that's full. Oh, that's fun. Don't you see the crepes that we will have? I'm excited today. Are you? We can be the bees in the hive of life, remembering the extra E in humanity, where we've got to realize all hues are included, and then know that in legalese, included is actually to say that something else is excluded. So did you know that that was how they were able to clump many terms under one and then make it so. It was a one-sided agreement because Aboriginal includes Indian, Métis, and all Aboriginals that were made to be other than they originally were. And they then thought they needed a status card to make them be other than who they really were or are truly, because are we fictional? No, we're truly who we are. You can see us because we are women living life truly. Did you ever see live and evil are what we have the chance to scramble the words, the letters in the words, to make it be other than we were originally. Evil and live use the same letters as does scared and sacred. So then that's when we say that when we look another in the eye, well, that's who we'll hold personally liable if they trespass against me. Don't you see that we are singing truth in a new light? Because with the term Aboriginal, what I was singing, and if it's more preferable for me to just speak it instead, I will.
Yes, please.
Okay, so with the term Aboriginal, for instance, they made it so that that term included many other terms, definitions. And what we have to remember within the hierarchy of creation is that God's on top, man or woman's under that, because we were created in the likeness and image of our parents, which are the pair of rental guardians that we received when we came into these vessels, which are made to be like boats, because if you think about it, it is a boat that bursts itself or goes through the birthing canal in order to then give birth, which is a movement that a boat or a vessel makes, right? And then we're made to be like that, with the mothership being where we all live. In fact, we are corrupted. We've been corrupted by pirates. Because did you know that pirates are simply a ship or a vessel that have a box of flags, and then when they're coming up to another vessel, they'll put up the flag that's most appropriate for the vessel to feel that they are safe enough to trust. So then when they give our trust, or when they give their trust to us, the vessels that are oncoming, then we overtake them if we were pirates, which in this moment, we are pirating your time, energy, effort, and attention, not money, because we are not asking for anything in exchange for the gift we give today, because we simply want to say warriors need to be strong in order to carry on. We've got to know that we are the ones we've been waiting for. Uigu, please say what you feel in this moment if you want to.
Do you guys want to take a deep breath together?
Oh.
I'm like, what do I need right now? I'm just like preparing the wet and the dry ingredients.
Great.
And kind of perfecting that process. But
perfection. We could talk about that one. Is it possible?
What?
Perfection.
Perfection. Yeah, we can totally talk about perfection after a breath. So like dropping into your body. What does that mean? That means feeling where your hands are, where your shoulders are, moving your body in ways that when we close our eyes, we're not worried about what other women's and men's are thinking.
Yeah.
And as a result, just literally just dropping zoom into the body. And breathing in 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, holding at the top. And then like you're breathing through your mouth out through a straw. We're going to breathe out for 7 seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I just need a breath. Like, really. Sometimes I just need a breath.
That just keeps giving is what we had a chance to receive. Thank you, Dwee. I love you. Truly. You're amazing. Truly, honestly. So, love. What is love? But the ultimate experience.
What is love?
Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Woo! I love it. Oh my God. See? This is why we are
I
friends.
just don't sing all the time, but when I do it and I enjoy it. And we can all resonate with that. Also, my cat's right behind.
Yeah.
And it's like he's watching us and we're putting on a show for him. And he's a Russian blue. He's like all gray, green eyes. And like the most beautifulest little thing, like the beautifulest little prince.
He's literally like fawning. He's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
turned sideways.
Yeah,
and, like,
he does that. He
looking like a swan.
loves. I loved when I sang to him when he was a little kitty. I call him a baby.
Darling, don't hurt me. I love this. I'm so. Oh my God.
What?
So when I get super excited, I have to say it's harder for me to hold space.
Oh.
It's like when I get really
That's pretty
excited,
self-awareness.
it's just like I wanna give. It's just like I'm in flow and I wanna bring you and hold space for you and have you be in your flow and me be in my
Yeah.
flow and be in flow together. And then sometimes it's like, baby, don't hurt me.
Yeah.
And then it's just like I just can't. Ah! It's just like joy is overflowing. But did you ever actually think about the fact that joy are the letters that start the journey and end it? But what is left but the urn, which is where the body will go if we stay too dense in not knowing, ignorance, unawareness, to actually see the purpose of why we are here, which is to find joy. Joy or death are the choices we have to make in this life. And so I wish I had pockets. I would have stuck them in right then. That was what I thought because we're live. And I wonder how you are today. Do comment and let us know how you're going about your day. Thank you. Much love over to you too. Mike and Tim, I appreciate you for tuning in. Oh, if you share where you are, that's the starting point for your day and the life you'll create moving forward from where you are. Did you ever think about the fact you're exactly where you're meant to be at? Don't you see it's true that we are where we're meant to be at all times, even when it's crazy.
Can I have you pour some of that water here?
Why, of course, darling, what do you need?
So I've got
1 cup?
yeah, all the way to a cup. I've got like a Kangen machine, which essentially like changes the pH of your water. And I'm gonna like practice. I'm just like playing around using it in cooking and seeing how it changes the flavor and the structure of like the food itself. Because going back to perfectionism, if I may,
Yeah.
Perfectionism was the way that I would navigate the world because that's what I thought people needed of me. And so my current present self is very aware of this, and it's not the way it runs my life. That being said, sometimes that tendency comes, especially when I'm very, very anxious. Or I'm like, when you had mentioned, like when you're going like this, like anxiety and excitement are same ends of the spectrum. They're
Right?
the same exact thing.
Yeah.
And so when you explained your excitement around it, that like the speeding up of that is similar to like the anxiety around it. My thoughts around it immediately. My body is in sympathetic mode. It's in like fight flight. I need to figure out how to like work around this like vibe. So that perfectionism was like a way that my life was like being run by, well, things that I didn't need it to be run by.
Want me to put that in there?
Actually, just a little bit of water up until the 1 liter mark, 1 cup mark. I mean, has anyone else made crepes?
I used to have an amazing recipe from the Delhi Tobacco Museum when we went on a field trip,
And
and I
it's so
asked.
very specific.
Yeah, it was in the back of my grandma's cookbook, and my cousin has it, and we don't speak, so I don't have my crepe recipe. So if you have the Delhi Tobacco Museum crepe recipe, I'd appreciate it.
That's a very specific one.
Yeah. You need another one?
It says, no, we're good. I just need to eat a little bit warmer because it asks everything to be at room temperature. But of course, I didn't put I have oat milk for milk. I didn't put that at room temperature. The eggs weren't at room temperature, so I'm just like mixing it up with a little bit of hot water because that's what a batter crepe is.
Yeah. Wow.
Anywho, so that's that.
So I want to talk more about the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system, because if we don't know how to actually settle our nervous system, we can't make our information safe, which I was very aware of when I went through my awakening, which wound up getting me in the mental institution for 2.5 weeks in 2019 and completely changed my entire life and perspective of the world, because I found out that the mental health system is the modern day witch hunt. And it is where ones that activate others are sent in order to prevent us from influencing the vibe of the collective tribe. And it's absolutely insane, because there's even a story of an African shaman that came over and actually went into one of the mental institutions where men and women who are dealing with emotions that are meant to move, energies in motion meant to move within the system of us, but instead are compressed, repressed, depressed, pretend don't exist, denied, and then all of that forced to just stop, don't, right? Like that. Oh, where did you feel that in your body? And then paying attention to that. Anyway, the African shaman went into the mental health system and met these men and women, and he said all he saw was unintegrated energies, because that is what that's what's going on when you're having a mental dysfunction. Well, look at the words dysfunction. Look at the words disorder. Think about the mind.
100%. And then also I'm reading The Body Keeps Score, and one of the biggest things is the pharmaceutical. As soon as the pharmaceutical industry I'm going to use different words. As soon as the pharmaceutical industry decided to merge with the medical industry and psychiatry,
Right.
That's when the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, the DSM, that's when that started. And so it became something that was like a range of extreme emotions. Like we're talking mental health presenting in a range of extreme emotions, which is not incorrect, to a brain disease model, meaning there's something wrong with your brain, disorder.
Dis-ease.
So, yes, exactly. So you may now continue from that point.
Cellular disharmony. But that's brilliant. I didn't even know that. So thank you for bringing that into the picture, because it makes so much sense. When people can be turned into profiting bodies, that is how ultimately you can make money off of people that are self-sustaining. So for instance, with like pet and like the injections that you need to give your pets, right? If we actually think about it, a pet an animal in the wild
It's completely normal.
has no issues until they do, at which point it's dealt with. But pets are required to get annual shots. Shoot ya animal. But like we're taught like it's a shot, go get shot. Well, if anybody tries to shoot me, I'm fucking running. Pardon me.
I'm
Like-
not running. I'm grabbing that gun from that person's head and being like, "What is wrong with you? What happened in your childhood?
Right?
Let's talk about
Yeah.
that. I'll hold space for you and have compassion for you. I will not judge you."
Yeah. Why are you
Yes.
trying to cause harm to someone else unless it is because you are not powerful in and of yourself and therefore need to steal power from someone else, which is what energy vampirism is, which is what parasitic relationships are about, where one feeds off the other, such as the government and us. So as a woman that got, I went and spoke at a rally in April. And then 2.5 weeks later, I got delivered a summons for having done so because it was deemed individual failure to comply with the Reopening Ontario Act 2020. Okay, so I knew from the experience I had in the mental health system that I was not going to be represented as anything other than what I am, which is a woman with a big heart that says this system is sick, and that adage, just because it's not broke, don't fix it, is not good enough, and we are good enough. And culturally, which is the culture rally BS belief systems that we've given our power to, have told us we are less. And I say that is not okay, and that our young ones are being corrupted right from the time that they are little, because the the Jesuits said that just give me a child until they're 7 and I'll have them for life. Because if you imprint and impact the conditioning of the child before they have a conscious mind to actually filter through the information that is coming to them, then that they take that on and into their system, and then they govern their lives based on it. Governance.
As a child therapist, I can definitely say there's like the first 4 years of our life where we're creating, like, imagine a baby that changes into a toddler. All of a sudden their world has expanded into, from being held to like what people maneuver them around to like they're starting to observe the world. And imagine that expansion. Now, when that expansion happens, which is around like, toddler, 1.5, 2 years old, that coincides with a bunch of activity happening in their brain that also coincides with the terrible twos. And the thing that's happening there is that the child is literally pushing their boundaries of what they feel love is. Mm-hmm. Because what they're trying to do is, who am I in this space? Because mom and dad has told me who I am. The people around me has told me who I am. But like, that's it. Like, I need to understand and push the boundaries. I need to be the authority in that. And that's what they do. They push it until they get boundary back. And that's when trauma occurs. That's when we've realized, oh, love is actually conditional. And only when I do this, I receive love. Hence all of the behaviors around love: escape, attention, avoidance, access to something, access to a person, access to the things that you do with that person. And then the last one is because it feels good, literally, sensory wise, our body takes it in and it just like feels really, really good. And so that's incredibly important to understand, because that also happens in our teenage years. When we're teenagers, we'll start to get an abundant amount of synapses that start pushing out, kind of like the saying, like, children absorb like a sponge. The reason they absorb like a sponge is because their brain is ready to learn, and they've got all these synapses ready to latch on. And if all of those synapses are latched onto trauma, or latched onto shame and guilt, or latched onto not being good enough, and self-worth issues, I can't express myself, my emotions are not important enough, etc., then it creates all of these barriers in the way that we see and perceive the world. And so you can condition a child very easily, and a human. I can say, detaching from my conditioning, like what I mentioned, the perfectionism has been the most difficult part. So 100%, 100%. And that's why.
Well, Don Miguel Ruiz calls it literally is domestication, and auto-domestication is what we ultimately do. Because first we come into this world and we are domesticated, just like our pets are. But we condition our children as to how to be in this world, what to believe, what is safe, what isn't safe, based on our map of the world, and then we teach what we know, right? And so that's the domestication process. And then because we're so smart, and because we want to be perfect, and because we want to be good enough, which is where the perfectionism is connected, because it all comes down to the universal story of not enough. And we then begin to auto-domesticate ourselves. So then we begin to think, okay, well, like, how would they receive that? And then that's going to influence whether I'm going to do that or not. And so then it's like we auto-domesticate ourselves, which is a means of self-regulation. And I will also bring up the fact that when I was finally able to get discharged from my imprisonment in the mental health system, first I got Form 1, which is a 3-day voluntary hold that was not voluntary. And then they flipped me into a 2-week involuntary stay. And then the psychiatrist didn't want me to leave. No one actually let me know when I could leave. It was only a matter of, because I asked one of the nurses as I was cheerfully going around, because it was like 4 days after being in fear in the system, I finally just decided I was stuck. And so I was going to make the most of it. And I was going to be a blessing while I was there as best as what I could. And I completely changed the energy of that space. And there were terrorizing tactics that were used that, like, honestly, were horrifying. I passed out in fear, like the possum effect. I experienced that. Like, I literally, like, I went down to the nursing station, and it was like, the vampirism of the system was so intense that, like, I was just like, I talked to this nurse, and I realized that I was just a patient to him, and I was on the other end of an order, and he didn't care.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, he wasn't going to help me, and he didn't care to help me, and he didn't help me. Yeah. And so I realized what I was dealing with, and just how heartless it was, how heartless he was, because of, that's my coffee. Oh, I forgot I had coffee. I'm so excited. Wow. Okay, cool. Yay. Fully provided for, as I share a story that traumatized me until that I finally kind of stepped out of it. But
that's how we hold space for each other.
Right? Thank you. But yeah, literally, I dealt with this nurse man, or man acting as a nurse, or whatever he was. And then I turned away, and I remembered, like, there was this living room area that was opposite the nurses' station, which is actually called the Eagle's Nest if you are working within the prison system model, which at the time I was actually interviewing to be a corrections officer. Oh, so, like, there was a whole nother layer to that. But I turned away, and I went into the living room, and it was like I was so just terrorized. And all of a sudden, it was like I woke up on the floor, and my water was spilled, and I knew that I had just went down. And I was like, oh, okay. And I grabbed my water in the straw, and I got up, and I left the room, and I went straight back to my room, and I didn't look at him. I didn't acknowledge it. I just left, and I went back where I could get myself collected, and nothing was mentioned of it. Nothing was spoken about my having passed out in front of one of the nurses on the floor, passed out cold, and, like, woke up and, like, okay, I knew what I was dealing with, get myself together and out of there. But the possum effect, I literally experienced that.
That was after the possum effect, you're saying?
That, like, I passed out right in front of the nurse, like, in front of the man.
Yeah.
And then I left and went back to my room and recollected myself. But, like, I passed out in front of a medical professional that, like, did not mention it.
Didn't even say anything.
Said nothing, asked nothing.
So, like, literally your personhood was, like, taken from you, and, like.
No, my personhood was fully being used against me, because our personage can either be used for us or against us. So we can either use our person as a benefit or as a liability, because person by definition is a trust. And we put our trust in the government. And then the government, which govern is control and ment is mental. So it's the mind control that we have been conditioned to agree with and accept and give our power to, which is why then we think that it has power. But what we forget is the fact that it is men and women holding the positions that are what give the entity, which is dead, soulless, and lifeless, until we give it ours in exchange for a paycheck, which is actually backed by nothing other than our trust, because that's what the fiat currency is. The fiat currency is backed by nothing except for the trust that the government gives to it, because it is the regulating body that determines its worth, as it has done for us, because we have agreed to be persons instead of women or men. And so when we did that, we forgot who we were. And so if we think about it from a benefits or liabilities perspective within the spectrum, we can benefit from the trust, because there is a Commonwealth trust that all of us are due, except for we don't know that. So then we hire professionals to manage our trust, because that's just, too much. Well, is it really? So we can claim the right to lawfully self-govern, and then we could actually benefit from the trust that was created for us, because we were born fully provided for, as children of the grand overall designer, creator of all that is, in this virtual reality game for our soul. Where do you think they got the idea for that concept, right? So, your personage can also be made to be a liability, which is how it was used against me in the mental health system. And then when I got the summons for having spoke at that rally, which what man or woman is willing to take the stand and say that I was not a woman in my private capacity on the day that I spoke on that stage? What man or woman will do so under oath? Let them take the stand and say so. Otherwise, there is a trespass against me, which is exactly why I have made a claim against the man acting as Crown Attorney or prosecutor, who is the number one bully against me, the woman who has clarified my standing and said I will not be the status that is being applied to me that could be used to get me locked up or you too, because it is only through the person that the government can do anything to the man or woman, because the man or woman doesn't know that they are not that was created as the interface, just like the channel that you are watching this through, is that whatever account I've got and you've got are the interfaces for us to be able to connect. That's what the person is for the government.
Yeah, that's when you explained it that way to me, then I got it. I was just like, oh, wow. And then here we are having like actual physical, as physical as a Facebook profile, an Instagram profile would be. Are you centering any words on your show?
I don't talk about the con video game. I talk about the con video game, but I don't talk about the certificate of vaccination ID, A for the 1 and I for the 9. I don't talk about that keyword.
Cool. Okay.
Because
I should have asked that before too, so I'm glad I asked that now.
Yeah.
Communication, you're not going to know until you ask. You can't assume it either.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I love that I got to just slip in what I believe the acronym for what this whole pandemic, or what I say actually more correctly is a pandemic in addition to a pandemic, is the very virus that has never been isolated. So all the variants that are being detected, where do you get that fact, in fact? Where do you get that fact, in fact? And what is a virus but in fact not what we think it is? Virology is not the truth. Oh shit. 3333 was stuck for a few seconds. Why? I don't know why it skipped, except I talked about the truth in a way that's undercover, except not necessarily, because it is quite clear, and that could be deemed counter medical advice, but I wish to add no vice. In fact, I don't wish to add to pain, I simply say, at the end you got more to gain by choosing to do well by your fellow human. Actually, human is a definition created by a creator that's in the flesh, and so it's not the best that we had the chance to do, which is why if you look up human in the Black's Law Dictionary, you would see monster. What's a monster? But one who cannot be an heir to anything, which is how we could get to the all or nothing and be happy philosophy that's trying to be pushed on men and women who forgot who they were. You were going to say.
Right, but we were talking about earlier to that. You can't say profile, personhood. And then
Profile is the person.
So profile is the person.
Well, like your profile is your account.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And your account is your person. It's the trust. By definition, one of the definitions of person is trust.
What is the trust? Like, what does that mean?
Well, it can a person can also be a corporated entity. So a corporation. It can be an artificial person, or is it a real person, or is it a living person? I am a living boy, says Pinocchio.
As his nose grows. What?
Nose grows.
Did you hear what I did there? And the nose grows.
The nose grows. Don't you know those? The definition in Black's Law Dictionary is exactly what got my attention. Mike says, in fact, it's great to be with you today. So if you see that human is not a man or woman, because the one who created the term owns what says okay and accepts the status, well, don't you see? Common law is the common ground we walk on to be able to stand as men and women on our legs if we are blessed to have them, and not all are, but I'm grateful that I was, and I'll use them for as long as I can, and encourage my fellow man and woman to stand and to know that you must claim the right to do it if you have never said you were not your person, because that's how a charge or trespass can be laid against the man or woman if you accept it, because it'll be applied to your person and you are not the person, because if you understand your trust is where the monies are housed that the system would tap when you in fact became a patient instead of a man or woman. Don't you see how your standing is converted into a status instead, and then you think you need to be other than you are? Bravo! And breakfast is being prepared.
Yeah, this would be a great segue into helping me.
Well, on that note, we will wrap up for this day and say namaste. Namago. Do you have any final words?
Aloha.
Thank you for everything that you brought as a child therapist. Dwiku and I are working on fine-tuning this information. So we're doing some masterminding, which is combining two or more like minds for a common purpose, which is ultimately to help me refine what I am sharing so that you can find what you need more easily, rather than listening to nearly 40 minutes of singing and dancing and stories and breakfast. And
Yeah, but and having a way that we can also all like learn from it, because like one of my skills that I'm truly stepping into is recognizing everyone's highest potential and their gifts. And like in with the kiddos that I work, I'll call them superpowers, and like superpowers is the best way to see it. And so when I see someone's gift so big and there's no way that like they're being actually like able to like reap the benefits of that gift, of said gift in this lifetime, right? Then you know, I see that as an opportunity to like work together, because I only want to work with people that I enjoy working with. I don't want to work with people that
Are we working?
we're playing.
Yeah.
See, still
Vernacular matters.
Vernacular matters, yeah. Because we don't calling it a meeting, we call it a plating. No,
Yeah, plating. Well, we're going to plate up our crepes and say namaste. Thank you. It's been fun to be with you today. Mike, thank you for tuning in. I'm finally starting to get ears that hear and eyes that see. Woohoo! Much love back to you too. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please do give this message a like. Share it with someone that could do with some play, and also use video medicine. So that is basically where you say, hey, look, it's pretty random, but just use the movie medicine of choosing the section in the video that you feel called
that's
to.
What I do.
Get the however many seconds it is for you to get the message that you clicked to in the video. Just take that, and that's literally your medicine. If you want more, then you've got the whole video to be able to go back to and listen to. But by choosing where you start, where you're drawn to, where you're called to, that's how you really reconnect with your intuition, what feels fun. And when you're in fun, you are in flow, and we're gonna flow away today. Thank you. Namaste. Namago for now. Woohoo. Have fun.